Welcome to the Cheating Wife Stories channel. And now it's my turn. The words slip out of my mouth before I can even register my own voice. My hands tremble. My pulse races. I'm standing in the living room, the place I once considered our sanctuary, staring at Kate. The light from a single lamp draws harsh lines across her face. There's a flicker of something in her eyes. Fear, maybe, or an echo of pity. She tries to speak, but nothing comes out at first. I notice how her lips part, searching for the right phrase. Then she manages a whisper. You knew what you were getting into. Her voice is so quiet that, at first, I'm not sure I heard her correctly. But I did. She said that line before, many times, in a different context, a gentle tease about my stubbornness, or when I'd gripe about her habit of leaving half-empty coffee cups around the house. This time, though, it feels like the final blow. A flick of the blade that I never saw coming. I don't answer. Words are jumbled in my head. Anger, betrayal, a sense of choking on memories. My mind floods with images of her, of us. Years of mornings, birthdays, Sunday drives, kisses before bed. All of it, swirling in an instant, as though forced through a narrow funnel, until only a cold, unsteady silence remains. The quiet is deafening. That's my pain. Silence. Right now, it's devouring me from the inside. This is how it ends, I think. But not yet. My muscles are coiled, not in anger, but in a sort of readiness I've never felt before. Breathe. Just breathe. I close my eyes, and for a second, I'm somewhere else. A flash. Then another. A week ago. Panicked. Rummaging through an old box in the garage, the smell of dust and rusted metal. My fingertips brushed across a small cassette tape, labeled lunch receipts in Kate's familiar handwriting. I almost laughed. Then the cynic in me said, probably something else, maybe an old expense log or a recorded shopping list. I was about to toss it aside. But something about the tape felt out of place. I went inside, found a cassette player. Couldn't remember the last time I used one. Pressed play. At first, static. Then a soft hiss, and suddenly, her voice. Hey, it's me. I think about last week a lot. You were right. I needed that. A heartbeat. Another hiss of static. Her breathing, shallow, nervous. Then silence. Nothing more. But it was enough. Enough to set my mind on fire. In that moment, my throat constricted so tight I couldn't swallow. My heart hammered in my ears. The voice was Kate's. But the words, they weren't for me. I recognized every subtle quiver in her tone, the way she sounded when she was excited, or guilty, or both. I can't say how long I stood there. 5 minutes, maybe. Could have been an hour. My head swam. The walls looked as though they were caving in. And then came the panic. I rushed to the sink, splashed water on my face, tried to steady my breathing. Could I have misunderstood? No. That voice, the tension, it was real. There was a man's name, muffled, but repeated. Andrew. Or Drew. I replayed it, pressing the cassette to my ear, as though trying to push the words deeper until I found absolute clarity. I caught just enough. Andrew. Last week. Needed that. I dropped the tape. It clattered on the counter, nearly falling to the floor. That night I didn't confront her. When she came home, I pretended I was halfway asleep, just to avoid her. My mind burned with a million questions, but my lips wouldn't move. The pain was so raw it felt like a fresh cut throbbing under a bandage. I realized something about myself then. In crisis, I withdraw into silence. Maybe I was afraid that if I started talking, I'd never stop. I'd tear into her, or break something, or break myself. Instead, I studied. That's my nature. Gather facts, piece them together, no matter how ugly. The next night, I waited until Kate was in the shower. Took her phone, scrolled through messages. Nothing suspicious, just mundane lines about editing jobs and bills. My breath came a little easier. But then I noticed she had a second email account on her phone, tucked away in a folder labeled Work Archives. I opened it, found short emails. Some had attachments. I recognized the name Andrew Carmichael. The subject lines were harmless. Project outline. Market analysis. But inside them, I saw phrases that set my teeth on edge. We'll meet at the usual place, same time, can't wait. Or, let's continue where we left off. 3 missed calls from him, a few nights prior. I'd been right there in the living room at that time, oblivious. Reading those lines was like stepping on a nail in bare feet. The pain was instant, shooting up my spine, but I tried not to jerk or gasp. I scrolled further, found references to a friend's apartment they sometimes used as an office. My stomach tightened. My chest ached. I shoved the phone back, heart pounding in my throat. I wanted to run from the house, get in my car, drive anywhere, just not be within these walls. But I stayed, thinking about trust, how it can be the greatest weapon in a relationship, either forging an unbreakable bond or slicing one partner open, while the other wields it like a knife. Right now, I was bleeding. A few days later, I overheard a whispered phone call. She was in the backyard, pacing near the old swing set. I saw her through the curtains. She was wearing that look, as if her mind was elsewhere, not with me, not with our life. Her voice hushed, breath uneven. It matched the voice on the tape exactly. Nervous, excited, waiting. I heard her say, "Yes, I'll be there. No, he's working late. Andrew, please, let's not. No, I'm not backing out. I just..." Then she turned away, and the rest got lost in the breeze. My chest felt like it might cave in, but I swallowed the rage. I stood there, silent, letting the quiet do the work inside me. When she finally went back inside, I pretended I was reading a catalog. She passed by, said something about picking up groceries. I nodded, forcing a casual tone. "Don't forget milk." She gave a small, tight-lipped smile, almost guilty, but brushed by me. You see, it was in these silent moments I learned more than I ever wanted to know, about her lies, my own denial, and the lengths I was willing to go to keep everything from collapsing. But my illusions were already shattered. At night, she'd slip under the covers beside me. I'd lie stiff, listening to her breathing, wondering if she was picturing him. Each breath felt like a betrayal, as if she drew life from me and gave it to him. Over and over. I let it happen. Maybe I wanted to punish myself, like an animal standing on a trap, refusing to move, too shocked or afraid to free itself. Or maybe I was strategizing, waiting for the right moment. I think I wanted to see how far she'd go. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to her brother, Adam. The drunk, the addict, the troubled soul who'd been in and out of rehab. She'd always protected him. Some mixture of sibling loyalty and maternal instinct. She lied for him, covered his debts. She once asked me, "Would you ever use someone's weakness against them?" I remember that question because it felt so out of the blue. I'd answered, "No, of course not." Now I realized what she'd been asking all along. If I was capable of cruelty. Back then, I'd said no. Now, I wasn't so sure. I found Adam easily. He was holed up in a seedy apartment downtown, living off and on with a friend who had even shakier habits than he did. It reeked of spilled beer, stale smoke, the faint stink of regret. When I knocked, he opened the door with a dull expression. I told him I had an opportunity, a warehouse job that needed an extra hand. He was suspicious. Why would I offer him anything? He knew we never got along. But desperation does strange things, and he agreed after I flashed some cash. I saw the seed of hope in his eyes, or maybe greed. Didn't matter. The moment I handed him the key to the warehouse, I knew he'd pocket some merchandise to sell for quick money, or stash his liquor, or do something stupid. He's always been the weak link. She confided all her secrets to him. If he caved, everything about her would unravel. Perfect for my plan. Now in the living room with Kate, it feels like all these events are colliding at once. I swallow. My voice comes out in a jagged hush. You said. I knew what I was getting into. I pause, letting each word land, tasting the bitterness. Then answer me this. She shifts her weight, crossing her arms. What do you want? Her tone is defiance tinted with fear. I take a step closer. Why him? Why not? My voice catches. Why not just tell me we were done? She looks away. Silence. Her shoulders quake, but she steadies them, forces a level gaze on me. I was lonely, she manages. You withdrew from me. You're always working, Jim. You. I raise a hand. Stop. You once asked me if I'd ever use someone's weakness against them. Remember that question? You said it after your brother's last rehab. She blinks. Yes, I asked. And you said no. I nod, letting the silence answer for me this time. She trembles. The tension in the room is so thick it's choking us. I realize I'm mimicking the exact questions she used to ask me, in a twisted role reversal. She used to demand honesty from me about the simplest things, my late nights, my moods, my cryptic answers. Now I'm the interrogator, and she's caught in a trap. She tries to speak again, but we both freeze at the ring of her phone, a shrill sound that snaps the moment in half. She fumbles it out of her pocket. On the screen, I see the name. Adam. Her eyes flick from the phone to me, panic flooding her features. That's my cue. I step back, cross my arms, nod for her to answer. Adam, she says. Immediately, her expression changes, anxious, terrified. Arrested. How? How? When? What do you mean the police found? She glances at me. I maintain a carefully neutral face, though inside I can feel my heart pounding as if it might bruise my ribs. I'm coming, she says, ending the call. Her voice is shaking. I don't know what happened. They said something about stolen goods, liquor in the warehouse. She stares at me like she's connecting dots in real time. You gave him the job. You set him up. For a heartbeat, I can't speak. Then, did I, is all I manage. My tone is quiet, but it vibrates with tension. This is how trust can become a weapon. You take someone's biggest vulnerability, her love for her brother, and twist it. She opened her mouth, maybe to scream, maybe to plead. But I just stare, arms still folded. And in that trembling second, I remember the phone call she had with Andrew. The hush in her voice, the excitement, the willingness to lie to me so completely. In the hush that now stretches between us, I realize how numb I've become. The pain is there, but it's lodged somewhere deep. My silence is now the shape of my revenge. She grabs her purse and heads for the door. It's the single most painful moment of my life. Watching her, the woman I once adored, race out to defend her brother, the same brother who knew everything about her affair, who might have even helped her keep secrets from me. And me, I just stand there, not even lifting a finger to stop her. 3 hours later, I'm alone in the dark, just me and the living room lamp. The phone on the coffee table. I expect a call from her, from the police, from someone. But there's nothing but silence, a slow, creeping emptiness. Exhaling, I remind myself of the first time I realized something was off in our marriage. Maybe it was about a year ago. She asked me, Jim, do you trust me? And I recall pausing too long before answering. That pause became a chasm. I never asked her the same question in return. I should have. Now, as I sit here, I wonder if trust is always a risk. A loaded gun you hand to someone else hoping they don't pull the trigger. She pulled it. Or maybe we both did. Eventually, I stand, rummaging through the closet for a single duffel bag. I begin piling clothes inside, methodical and quiet. A few dress shirts, underwear, a razor, my toothbrush from the bathroom. It's surreal how calm I am. The storm in my head is still raging, But on the surface, I'm cold, composed, every movement deliberate. Once the bag is full, I place it by the front door and collapse onto the couch, head in my hands. Images of the two of them creep into my mind. Andrew, tall, confident, that cocky grin he probably flashed at her. I imagine them together. My fists clench. The memory from earlier in the week. I'd followed her, kept my distance as she parked near a rundown apartment. I saw them through the window. She wore that perfume that I used to love, the one that smelled like vanilla and fresh cotton. I saw Andrew's hand on her waist, the curve of her back arching into him, her head tilted up, her eyes half closed as their lips met. I could almost feel the heat from where I stood, shrouded in the dark. I hated them, hated myself, hated the way my heart hammered at the sick reality of it all. I stayed. I watched. They'd moved inside, silhouettes weaving together. Even through the grimy glass, I could sense the trembling hush of it, the rustle of clothing, a soft moan. That's the moment my breath turned to shallow gasps. I remember pressing my forehead against the cold brick, wishing I could unsee, unhear, unfeel everything. But it was burned onto my soul. Even now, the memory feels like a brand. My chest heaves, but I bury the pain. That's what I do best. Silence, swallowing it, letting it poison me from within, or maybe letting it power me. Because after that, I decided there was no going back. And it all led to tonight. I'm not sure how long I've been sitting in the dark when the door finally opens. Kate steps inside, hair disheveled, eyes rimmed red from crying. She sees the duffel bag by my feet. Her breath catches, and a new wave of tears threatens. She sets her purse down gently, as if any sudden movement might crack the world in half. "What did you do to Adam?" she whispers, voice raw. I stare at her, not answering. The silence sits between us like a coffin. Slowly, I rise. "Jim, talk to me." Her voice strains. He's locked up. They're saying it could be months, years. They found stolen materials and open containers. He violated his parole. He's blaming you, says you set him up. She covers her face, and a sob breaks free. Why? I meet her gaze. Once, you asked me if I would ever use someone's weakness against them, and I said no. My words come out like they're carved from stone. But that was before I heard that tape. Before I saw you with him. I pause. Andrew Carmichael, you said you were lonely. You needed that. Right. She steps forward, arms out, as if begging me to hold her, but I stay still. You don't understand. You want me to ask you the same questions you used to ask me. My voice is rising, but still tight with suppressed fury. Why didn't you tell me you were unhappy? Why didn't you try to fix this? Why him, Kate? She tries to touch my arm. I pull away, glaring. Answer me, I hiss, echoing her own words from a lifetime ago, when she cornered me about working too late, about not sharing enough of myself. Now I'm the inquisitor. I see the recognition in her eyes, how she remembers those nights when she was the one demanding answers, and I was too exhausted or too stubborn to give them. She stammers, I wanted something else. You drifted away from me, Jim. For months, I felt invisible. I needed to feel alive. At the cost of destroying everything we built. I cut in. She can't hold my gaze. Her tears come faster. For a split second, a faint flicker of pity stirs in my chest. But then the image of Andrew pressing his mouth to hers floods my mind. And I feel nothing but cold. She says, I'm sorry. I never wanted. I exhale, a shaky release of breath. Then I turn away, picking up my duffel bag. No more words come to me. My quiet is heavy, final. In that silence, her sobs echo in the house that once held our laughter. She grips my shoulder, tries to spin me around. You can't leave. Not like this. I shake her off gently but firmly. Walk to the door. Don't even bother with a backward glance. I hear her feet shuffle behind me, her voice cracking my name. Jim. I open the door, step out into the night. The autumn chill washes over me. Feels like a baptism by ice. My mind is strangely clear. I've done what I needed to do. Her brother is behind bars. She's in shambles. Andrew's illusions of secrecy will soon crumble if he tries to intervene. Good. Let them all face the consequences of forging their betrayal in the dark. The last thing I hear before shutting the door is her strangled cry, a plea with no words. And I let that silence swallow it whole. I drive with no real destination, just away. I pass the gas station, the grocery store we used to visit together, the diner where we had our first date. Memories swirl, each one a pang in my chest. At a red light, I feel tears threaten to spill out, but they don't. Instead, the quiet in my car is my only companion. When the light turns green, I accelerate, mind racing. I'm not sure how to describe the sensation ripping through me. A blend of numb triumph and devastating sadness. My plan succeeded. Her brother is out of the picture. She's lost that protective shield. But at what cost? My soul is battered. My marriage is done. Trust turned into a razor, slicing through everything. Eventually, I find myself pulling into a shabby motel on the outskirts of town. The sign buzzes with half-burnt neon letters. No cars out front, just a cracked asphalt lot. I park, kill the engine, and sit there in the darkness. The adrenaline in my veins starts to fade, replaced by a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. The sign flickers overhead. VACANSUY, as if mocking my life. Vacancy. Emptiness. Inside the room, the decor is cheap and dated. A single lamp on the nightstand struggles to illuminate the faded walls. I drop my duffel bag onto the bed, slump into a rickety chair. The silence here is absolute, like a vacuum. My phone buzzes. Her name appears on the screen. For a moment, I almost answer, but then I switch it off. Let the silence reign. I recall the promise I made years ago, standing across from Kate at the altar. Through thick and thin, through better or worse, so many illusions of love and loyalty. The memory stings so fiercely that I want to tear my hair out. But I don't. I do nothing. Just stare at the blank TV screen, forcing myself to breathe. Morning finds me huddled on the edge of the bed, still wearing yesterday's clothes. My back aches, but I ignore it. I must have dozed off at some point. The light creeping under the curtains is weak and gray. I look at my phone. 9 missed calls, all from Kate. 2 voicemails, but I can't bring myself to listen. Not yet. I take a shower in the cramped bathroom. The water is lukewarm at best, but it strips away some of the numbness. Once dressed, I sit back on the bed, flipping the phone in my hand. There's a part of me that wants to vanish forever, to leave everything behind. Another part wants to confront her again, let her see the damage she's done. Instead, I make a single call. My boss picks up. I request a few personal days, citing a family emergency. He doesn't ask questions. I can sense his pity, which is probably worse than curiosity. As I hang up, I recall a line Kate once said. If one day you decide to leave, just promise to say goodbye. That was a year ago, when we discussed hypothetical scenarios. I'd never just abandon you, I told her. But what is it I'm doing now? The day drags on. I wander aimlessly around the motel's perimeter, hands tucked in my jacket pockets, shoulders hunched against the chill. I think about how trust is a weapon, a double-edged sword. I used her trust in me to ruin her brother. She used my trust to hide her affair. In the end, we both lost. By late afternoon, my phone buzzes again. Another call from her. I can't ignore it forever, so I pick up, swallowing the knot in my throat. Jim. Her voice is small, ragged from crying or yelling or both. I remain silent a beat too long. Then, yes, she exhales in relief, or maybe heartbreak. Where are you? Nowhere. On my own. Please, talk to me. My tongue feels heavy. What's left to say? A rustle, like she's turning away from someone or something. I need you to understand. I close my eyes. This is the part where you ask me if I still love you, right? Isn't that what you used to ask me when you suspected I was pulling away? The bitterness in my tone makes my chest tighten. Her voice cracks. Yes, I used to ask that, because I was afraid you'd leave. But I never wanted this. I force out a breath. You want me to question you the same way. Fine. Do you love me? Or are you just sorry you got caught? She stifles a sob. Jim, it's complicated. I'm not proud of what I did with Andrew, but it wasn't just a fling. My stomach churns. I stare at the peeling wallpaper. Then we have nothing to talk about. Jim, don't do this. We can. Stop. Silence. I can almost see her trembling on the other end of the line. The hush is thick, suffocating. I realize how easy it is to use the same tactic she once used, cutting me off, refusing to let me finish. So that's what I do. There's a perverse sense of power in it, and I hate myself for feeling it. But I can't stop. She tries once more. Adam told me you. Why would you do that to him? I let the quiet linger. Then, you once asked me, back when we first married, if you were the most important person in my life. You remember what I said? She sniffles, voice trembling. You said yes, that no one mattered more. Guess that change, I murmur, letting her own question dangle in the air. Now I'll be the villain, if that's what you need. But I'm done letting you lie to me. If you're looking for forgiveness, call your lover. Andrew. Her breath hitches. I can't. He's gone. He found out about Adam, and Jim, you've ruined everything. Good, I reply, coldly, before hanging up. The phone drops into my lap. I stare at it. My heart is hammering, but my face feels like stone. This is what it's come to. Days pass in a blur. Each morning, I consider heading back to the house, if not to talk, then to gather more of my belongings. But I can't force myself to cross that threshold again. My entire body rebels at the thought. Instead, I sink deeper into the routine of existing in this rundown motel. Stale coffee, lonely dinners, the occasional bottle of whiskey to dull the edges of memory. One day, I hear a knock. The motel manager says my credit card was declined for the next week. I scrounge up enough cash to pay for a few more days. Time is running out. I need a plan beyond punishing her, punishing myself. I think of my father, who taught me that marriage was about mutual respect. If trust is broken, can it ever heal? Maybe. But not for me. My trust was not just broken. It was used against me, hammered into shards, and then driven under my nails, inch by inch. I pick up the phone. Dial the house number. Kate answers, voice hesitant. Hello. I'm coming by, I say. 10 minutes. She breathes sharply, but I hang up before she can respond. The drive feels oddly serene. No more panic, just a grim finality. When I reach the house, I see her car parked in the driveway. I step inside. The living room is exactly as I left it, except the lamp has been replaced by a brighter one. The couch is bare. No blankets, no cushions. It feels hollow, like the bones of a once living thing. She appears in the hallway, looking smaller, thinner. Eyes puffy, hair disheveled. I remember when she used to greet me with a warm smile after work. Now, she just stands there, uncertain. Jim, she starts. I'm sorry. I nod. I need a few things from upstairs, I say, voice toneless. Then I'm gone. Her hands clasped together, knuckles white. Where will you go? It doesn't matter. She steps closer, tries to read my face. Let's talk, please. Sit with me. 5 minutes. We owe each other that much. For a moment, I'm tempted to refuse, to dash upstairs, grab what I need, and vanish. But something in me wants to see how far her remorse goes, so I nod once. We sit in the kitchen, where the sunlight slants across the table, illuminating the dust motes. Feels like we're on opposite sides of the Grand Canyon. She fiddles with the napkin holder. I notice she's not wearing her wedding ring. She follows my gaze and flushes. I took it off a few days ago. I thought. It felt wrong. My throat tightens. That's honest, at least. She nods, tears shining in her eyes. I know there's no excuse. I betrayed you. I was lonely. Andrew was. Exciting. I craved that feeling again. But you deserved the truth, not lies. I force a dry laugh. Well, that's quite the insight. A little late. She grimaces. I'm not asking you to take me back. I don't expect anything. I just want you to know I'm sorry. Truly. Her voice breaks, tears running down her cheeks. I watch them fall, each drop carrying memories of better times. Christmases, birthdays, lazy Sundays. None of that is enough to fill the silence between us now. You said you were lonely. I say. I was too. But I didn't go seeking comfort in someone else's arms. She looks pained, nodding. You're right. She hesitates. I asked you once, if you still love me. You never answered. I stare at the table. The question lingers, pulling at old wounds. Do you remember that time you came home late, asked me if we'd grown apart? I shrugged it off. I avoided the question. I let out a slow breath. I think that was the start of our downfall. She touches her fingertips to her lips, eyes brimming. It doesn't matter now. We can't go back. No. I agree quietly. We can't. We sit there in silence, a graveyard of unspoken words. Every emotion I ever felt for her is roaring inside me. Love, resentment, pity, heartbreak. I want to blame her for everything. But I know I share some of the burden. That's the tragedy. We both let the cracks grow into canyons. Finally, I stand. Thank you for saying sorry. But it doesn't change what happened. She chokes back a sob. I understand. Will you at least let me help with Adam? I know you set him up. I cut her off, voice cold. You think that matters now. He's made his choices. You made yours, and I made mine. He's where he needs to be. I hear the cruelty in my tone, and wonder if I'm becoming someone unrecognizable. Maybe that was always in me. Her eyes widen. How can you be so indifferent? The worst thing, I murmur, is not betrayal. It's indifference. I let the weight of those words press on both of us. That's what I learned. She slumps in her chair, covering her face. A low, keening sound escapes her, like an animal in pain. And for a moment, I feel my resolve waver. I almost reach out. Almost. But the memory of Andrew's hand on her waist, their silhouettes merging behind that grimy window, steers me away. I force myself to go upstairs, pack more clothes, important documents, the few trinkets I care about. I realize I don't need much. The pictures, the furniture, the rest of it, none of that has any meaning to me now. When I return downstairs, she's still at the table, wiping her tears, looking broken. Kate, I say, not unkindly. She looks up, face drawn, eyes wet. Take care, I add, forcing a neutral tone. I'll let you know where to send the divorce papers. She nods, and I see a flash of pain at the word divorce. Then acceptance. I wonder if she'll fight it or sign willingly. Doesn't matter. I'm done waiting for her or anyone else to decide my future. I turn and walk out. No drama, no grand gesture, just one step at a time. The door closes behind me with a quiet click. The final farewell. The drive away from the house is surprisingly calm. No panic. No short, frantic breaths. Just a steady hum of the engine. My hands grip the wheel loosely, eyes scanning the road ahead. I think back to the first time I met Kate, her easy laugh, the spark in her hazel eyes. Where did that go wrong? Then I remember the tape. Hey, it's me. I think about last week a lot. You were right. I needed that. It echoes in my mind like a haunting refrain. That's where it went wrong. I roll down the window, letting the cool air whip across my face. Maybe one day I'll feel the grief more fully. Maybe I'll collapse under the weight of it. But right now, I'm oddly numb. Or maybe just clear. A single tear might slip down my cheek, but I don't bother wiping it away. It dries in the wind within seconds. I decide not to return to the motel. Instead, I aim for the freeway, head out of town. No destination in mind, just the horizon. The low gray sky mirrors my mood, heavy and expectant, like it could storm at any minute. My heart remains steady, though, as if I'd already weathered the worst storm. Now it's just a breeze and aftermath. Somewhere outside the city, I pull into a rest stop. A lone vending machine hums next to a soda-stained bench. I sit there, staring at the trucks barreling by. Their roar rattles my bones, but I find it calming in a strange way. The phone is in my pocket. I flip it open, see a missed call from my sister, probably worried about me. Or maybe Kate reached out to her. I rest my elbows on my knees, bow my head. A subtle ache forms behind my eyes. I want to cry, truly cry. But it's not coming. Maybe there are no tears left. Maybe I used them all up in silent nights, listening to her breathe beside me, suspecting her every move. Trust, a powerful thing, I think. You give it to someone you love, hoping they guard it with their life. Then one day, you realize they've used it as leverage. Or you use it against them. It cuts both ways. There's no closure in that, just a quiet acceptance that what once was can't be mended. You can't reforge shattered steel without leaving scars. Standing, I stretch, my spine cracking. The future is a blank slate, but not in a freeing way, more in a terrifying sense that I've burned all my bridges. The only anchor that remains is me. And maybe that's enough. I climb back into my car, turn on the engine. The radio crackles. Some old rock station. I flick it off. I'd rather have silence. As I merge back onto the highway, I recall the final image of her face at the kitchen table, tear-streaked, exhausted. I wonder if that's how she'll remember me. A silent figure walking out the door, eyes cold, bag slung over my shoulder. No last kiss, no moment of final tenderness. Just goodbye. Part of me regrets that. Another part says it couldn't have ended any other way. In the rearview mirror, the city shrinks into the distance. My phone buzzes again, but I ignore it. That's what I do now. Push away what might drag me back. The tension that once knotted in my gut is replaced by a dull emptiness. Maybe it's peace, or maybe the real storm is still waiting to break inside me. For now, though, I'm in control of my silence. I tighten my grip on the steering wheel, feeling the hum of the road beneath me. The final lines of a vow echo in my head. Love, honor, cherish. What a lie that turned out to be. Or maybe it was simply a naive dream. The miles roll by. My breath steadies. A single thought emerges, clear as day. I never left a note, never gave her the courtesy of a full explanation. Just emptiness. And that is scarier than any rage I could have unleashed. The quiet I've chosen is my final act of power. Silence can be merciless. Time moves like a slow tide. Eventually, the freeway unwinds into a smaller highway, then merges into a broad suburban stretch. Billboards flash by, advertising fast food and hotels. I consider stopping at some chain motel, but the thought doesn't settle well. Instead, I keep going, searching for nowhere in particular, letting the road lead. Dusk approaches, the sky dimming to soft purple. Headlights streak by in the opposite lane. My eyes feel heavy. I wonder if I'll find rest, or if the ghosts of what I've done will haunt me. Adam in jail, Kate sobbing, Andrew slithering back into whatever hole he came from, and me, alone on the road. At last, I pull onto a scenic overlook. A railing guards against a steep drop into a forested valley. The sun sets behind the tree line, scattering colors across the sky. I step out of the car, the chill hitting me again. My breath curls in the air. Leaning on the railing, I let the scene wash over me. It's almost beautiful enough to distract from the ache in my chest. Almost, but not quite. My mind drifts to the exact moment I first suspected her. That cassette tape. How dusty it was, how innocuous it seemed. A piece of random clutter in our shared life, and how it exposed everything. I think about the countless times we must have walked past that box in the garage, never knowing how it would unravel us. Trust, so fragile, so easy to break. I wonder if I could have forgiven her if she told me everything first, without forcing me to discover it on my own. But I guess I'll never know. A light breeze stirs, rustling the leaves. The sky grows dark. Stars begin to poke through. A voice in my head says, "What now?" But there's no real answer. I rest my hand on the metal railing, the cold biting into my palm. Maybe I'll drive until I find a motel in another town, start fresh somehow. Or maybe I'll circle back, face her once more, though I doubt it. The final scene already played out. A silent departure, a heavy door closing, her tears echoing in an empty house. The worst thing is not betrayal, but indifference. That line resonates in me like a solemn vow. I think about how I used Adam's addiction to unravel her carefully guarded secrets, how her calls and tears fell on my deaf ears, how I refused to speak a word of comfort or condemnation, just left a void. In a story about betrayal, that might be the cruelest cut of all. And now it's my turn, I'd said. My turn to unleash pain. My turn to walk away without explanation. My turn to be the one who betrays her trust. If I let my mind linger on that for too long, I might hate myself more than I hate what she did. But the numbness remains, protecting me in a shell of self-preservation. Maybe one day it'll crack. Not today. At last, I return to the car, flick the headlights on, and drive. The darkness swallows the road ahead. My hands grip the wheel, my eyes focused on the next curve, the next mile. No final epiphany, no sudden relief. Just the steady, rhythmic hum of the engine, the hush of my own breathing, and the knowledge that everything behind me is gone. This is how it ends, I think, in silence with only the truth. And that truth is that sometimes the absence of words can speak louder than any scream. Sometimes walking away is the harshest punishment you can deliver. I press the pedal, feel the car surge forward. The hush of the tires on asphalt blends with the roar of blood in my ears. My future is uncertain, my heart is raw, but I keep going. The final taste of betrayal lingers on my tongue like bitter ash. But I don't look back.